Hi everybody and welcome to this tips, routes and suggestions video for the Escape to the Sun tournament. We will be covering elevations and general routes of the Koh Hong Resort course. We are playing full 9 holes for all divisions, and depending what division you are playing, what tee box you're playing from, there may be some different elevations, especially on a couple of the par 3s. We'll be going through each hole in turn with the overviews on screen as well. Before we get started, please do hit thumbs up on the video. It does help support the channel, and make sure you are subscribed as well. It is totally free to do so. Finally, do check the channel on Monday. There will be tournament content starting on Monday and progressing throughout the week as well to help you throughout this tournament. Good luck, and here we go. Let's begin then looking at hole number 1. So we begin with a par 4, and more often than not I will use the black line as illustrated here. I don't use the right hand route on this hole because the approach is very difficult with that bunker in front of the right hand side of the green. The drive I will play 20% extra, and if we have side wind or tailwind I will bounce over those 2 fairway bunkers on the right, applying top spin and right spin. Big topper is a good suggestion here, although you do need to hit a perfect shot, otherwise you will risk going into the rough with a great left or great right. But obviously if you have more accurate drivers with good amount of top spin, that's very useful as well. The idea is to roll down the fairway and leave yourself with a near maximum distance short iron. I've played this one plus 10% using the slider, bar of backspin and 3 bars of right spin bouncing just before the fringe gets you a nice line into the cup for an eagle. However, you may well play this max plus 0 if you're in a decent position. If we do have headwind, I would lay up because the secondary wind effect is going to be difficult to carry over those bunkers with any consistency. And if you go into the sand or the rough mid fairway with headwind, it's going to be very, very difficult to reach the green in 2. So you could take a long iron for the second shot. Again, you can play either 0 or 10%, or if you get a lot of headwind, obviously you could just lay up, go with a wood club up to the green. But the short iron is going to give us the best chance of an eagle, and it is something that I think we can work with some yardage notes on to get ourselves some drops here on hole number 1. For hole number 2 then, the first of the par 3s, general elevation here I play plus 30%. Now there's a couple of options. I've put the red cross here where I prefer to bounce, because that means you're taking a bunker out of the equation completely, and also you've got less of a downhill secondary bounce on your shot. So bouncing there where the red cross is going to need some backspin here with the wood club, but you will need to factor in that this is still playing downhill, so you will need to offset accordingly or add more into your adjustment. But the sniper is going to be the club of choice here for the accuracy and the ball guide. Obviously lower level rookie accounts going to have to use the Viper there, but that's a general route. I don't use any other part of the fairway. You can bounce between those first 2 bunkers, but as I said, there's a little bit more room for error and you are going to get more wind push there. So bounce nearer the green if you can. 30% general elevation. Hole number 3, first of the par 5s. Again, I'm playing right side here. Don't use the left fairway at all in my experience. But what I've done here, on the drive I've given 2 options for elevation, and I tend to play in tailwind or headwind, more vertical directions. I play this plus 20. Especially with tailwind, because the carry on the ball can actually send you directly into the rough or the sand there. So I back up a little bit and go with plus 20 for safety. In crosswinds I found 10% works fine. So applying some top spin and also a couple of bars of right spin might be useful as well to get over that bunker and along the fairway. Bear in mind that strip of fairway, it's not the widest in the world, so you don't really want to be hitting bad great left or great right. And then you want to basically position yourself as far down as possible, which will leave you a sniper second shot. 0% extra here, So no elevation on the second shot, and I bounce over where that red cross is indicated before the bunker in the run up to the green, bouncing over with spins as needed to get the ball to roll down nicely for a potential albatross. Very good chance here. If you are short in any way on the drive, you can actually bounce into the rough and roll out on the right of that bunker. It does slope down and give you a nice curve down to the green. However, for a rough bump approach, this isn't one that I favour because you do adjust slightly up or downhill depending on the wind angle. And I've had albatross here several times bouncing over there with the sniper. So that's a good general overview for hole number 3. Hole number 4 out of all of the par 3s for me presents the best chance at a hole-in-one. Very true green here. And if you can get this dialed in and drop it regularly, then you are going to have an advantage. Plus 20% general elevation here. And where the red cross is marked, it's actually a downhill slope to the front of the green and the fringe. And you want to bounce on that downhill slope because it gives you a very leveled off and flat bounce for the second bounce towards the pin. You will need some backspin. From front tee, you'll be playing this with the long iron, probably with the Goliath. Make sure you've got 3 to 4 bars of backspin in order to get the ball to stop in time to drop for a hole-in-one. If you're going obviously from middle tee, you want a sniper level 9 or above because you will need the full amount of backspin available. If you have a lower level sniper, my advice would be to switch to the Guardian if you're going to go with this shot. Very, very good chance at a hole-in-one here. You are going to need the backspin. Very good if you've got obviously straight tailwind or headwind, but if you do have an amount of crosswind, you may need to add more elevation or do some offset here just in case you need to factor in that extra wind push to the side. But a very, very good chance here, and if we get a favourable wind, you are going to see a lot of people drop this for a hole-in-one. 2 options here on hole number 5 in terms of general route. Let's look at the black line first. 20% on the drive, and you're going to want some top spin here, and I would be going with, if possible, a club with good ball guide and accuracy, either the quarterback or the rock, so that you've got a good 4.4 ball guide. Get the end of your shot in the right position. There are some trees there just to where the second black arrow begins, which could impede your shot on the approach to the green. So that's why I would favour the quarterback or the rock. So plus 20% on the black route there on the drive. The second shot from there, general elevation of 40%, and you've got 2 options. You can bounce on that small bit of fairway there just before the tip of the highest black arrow with the long iron, or if you're feeling adventurous, there is a very good rough bump here, either with the Goliath or the sniper, depending how far down you got with your drive. But beware, it is a fairly thin patch of rough, so unless you have side wind, then you may well end up in trouble here. Plus 40% second shot, but a very good chance with the rough bump if you're feeling brave. White route here, I've also dropped for an eagle on hole 5, plus 20% on the drive, 2 to 3 bars of topspin from the middle tee, and then this will position you for a sniper second shot. Plus 10 if you're going for the white hand route on the right side. And I have dropped this with the sniper mid plus 10, ball guide to hole, but you will of course get secondary wind effect, which you won't get on the rough bump with the black route. So you do have some options here. Go with whichever suits you the best, and also whichever wind direction you think might influence your decision as well. You just have to see what direction you're going to get. In Expert, we have had in Tailwind an option to send it here with a Berserker, but it is a little bit tricky. If you go too long, you'll roll off the back of the green into the sand, and if you don't get your line right, you could end up clipping the tree and ending up in the water. So really, you've actually got 3 routes here. Go whichever suits your style of play and clubs the best. Hole number 6 then, which I think is the most difficult of the par 5s in terms of albatross chances. I play the drive 10%. I don't use the left-hand piece of fairway at all here. I don't think it offers us anything, really. but I'm just looking to bounce over the bunker. I would rather play this a bit more conservatively, go with maybe 1 topspin or 0 spin just to get over there, rather than loads of topspin and risking rolling into the rough on the right. The reason for this is it will give you a better line for the second shot, which is therefore marked 0%, and you can see a small red cross just to the left of that on the screen, and that's where I'm looking to bounce with some topspin with the sniper to bounce over the sand and the rough and roll onto the green. Very difficult to get the pace right though here, and in all winds I would suggest going with a power 3 ball just to make sure you are going to clear that fairway bunker nicely. Going to be difficult in straight headwind here though, that will be challenging here, but I'm just looking really to get safe eagle. As I said, not many albatrosses going to happen on this hole in comparison to the other 2 par 5s. Obviously, if you do get a load of tailwind, some people will be tempted to give this an absolute blast and to try and get down that central strip of fairway, but as I said, there is always a risk with these shots going into rough or sand, so I will be playing for a safe eagle on hole number 6. Hole number 7 now, the final par 4, and again, one that offers us 2 routes here, which I quite like when we have 2 different options to play these holes. Not going to be easy to get an eagle on this one, very similar to the last par 4. We're definitely going to see more eagles on hole 1, but you've got to weigh up which side you want to play. Black line on the left, slightly more room for error on the drive, plus 10%, and then that would obviously leave you wood club 0% to the greens. That's the left hand route. But if you want a slightly trickier drive, go the white route on the right hand side, plus 10% elevation, and then you will need to therefore bounce on that small patch of fairway before the sand and the green, and play the second shot on the white route plus 10 as well. Obviously you need to choose which one is the best for you. I would go with a driver with ball guide and accuracy regardless of what route we are playing if possible, because if you do get into the rough on the right hand side, it's going to be very, very difficult to get anywhere near the green in 2. So left or right, up to you which way you're going to play on hole number 7. Hole number 8, very, very tricky par 3 here to dial in for hole in 1. Not going to see many of them on this hole, I wouldn't think. It plays massively downhill, but also if you're playing several divisions, you'll need to note the tee position. The white line there is originating from the rookie tee, takes the bunker out of the equation completely, and I'd be playing this general elevation plus 30%, either long iron or wood club, depending what wind you've got here. Pro and expert, as you can see, that's where the black line is showing. The master tee, the third tee, is slightly to the left, just off the screen there, but going to be very similar routes to pro and expert. Different elevations here depending where you land. Red cross indicating the sniper position, so you're going to land before the bunker and then bounce over. I'd be playing this mid plus 40, but you can also play max numbers plus 30, so you're going to have to mix and match depending what suits you best and how you're setting up your shot. Bear in mind though, this is obviously playing hugely downhill, hence the very generous elevation numbers, so you are going to have to factor in a lot of secondary bounce wind effect here. You may want to offset here depending on what wind you've got, but you are going to notice when you're playing your shot, the bounce over the bunker is affected quite a lot by the wind. Now, the blue elevation there, plus 50%, and also the blue cross there just before the green, is indicating a shot either with the rocket, max backspin, level 10 rocket, or if you have a good Thor's hammer, like level 6, then you can play max backspin with the Thor's hammer as well. But as I say there, I would add some elevation here if you are going for that shot, because the landing point nearer the green is more downhill. So a lot of different elevations to be playing with there. You need to mix and match, go with what shot suits you and what the wind is going to dictate you as necessary to get a safe birdie or a remote chance at hole in 1 on hole number 8. And finally to hole number 9, the last of the par 5s, and you do have a good chance at an albatross here. Plus 10% on the drive. I'm ignoring left side completely. More often than not, I'm going right side here. bouncing just at the end of that first patch of fairway with some topspin, 2 to 4.5 bars of topspin depending on the wind, and you're also going to need a couple of bars of left spin as well, and maybe a hint of left curl. Bouncing there, rolling over the fairway there just to where that shadow is. Beware, you can get a glitch roll here, so don't get too greedy on the topspin. And this is also one where you do want to be hitting perfect. As a great left, you could be clipping the sand, and great right, you're obviously going to go into the rough on the right. So important to nail a perfect here on this drive. 10% extra. Second shot, I play 0%, and this is going to be with the sniper, and we're going to use topspin to get that ball guide going close to the hole. Very, very difficult here to get the speed right again. So this is one, if you do drop this, it's going to be a very, very good albatross to drop, but not going to be wonderfully consistent. And you may want to add some elevation here on the second shot if you have crosswind. You can obviously either offset your ball guide, or you can shoot ball guide to hole and then maybe add 5 or 10% elevation. Just going to have to see what wind angle we're going to get on the second shot. But there we go, that is hole number 9, and obviously concludes our walkthrough.